Hello, Force family. We are on the bug report tip. I want to raise the profile of this device and explain how wonderful it is, but then how it needs a little bit more development and it feels like it's being left behind by Akai, even though it's probably one of the best devices to come out in the last 10 years. I use the Force to sequence MIDI on drum machines and on keyboards. It's the brain of my studio. I use it all the time to make full complete tracks. It's far and above one of the best MIDI studios that I've come across, including a bunch of DAWs. It's way easier to use in many cases than a lot of DAWs out there for the use case that I use it for, which is sequencing MIDI devices. So one of the things that I have is a drum track, which is basically one of the drum sample tracks that they have built into the Akai, right? And I don't use it with samples. I just use it to send MIDI notes to drum machines. So I have all my drum machines set up on the note numbers that correspond with each of these pads on a drum track. And then on the tracks, the way that I have them set up is the drum bus sends to channel 15 and it sends to this MIDI channel called drum note send. And that's just a MIDI channel that sends notes to my RD9 on channel 15, right? And so if I hit a note, it hits the drum machine that corresponds to that color. I have a pattern already set up, and I'm going to show you the problem that I have. So this isn't the way that Akai, I think, expects the drum groups to be used, to be fair, but they did set up the MIDI send, so obviously they wanted you to use this in some way, and so I assume that they wanted you to be able to sequence a bunch of drum machines. However, even though it does work well for that, if you use each of the, say, clips and you just have a bunch of specific notes in the clips, and that's how I use it now, it makes it hard to kind of, I don't know, jam out the idea, if that makes sense, right? So if I'm on a drum bus group here and I play it, right? Simple pattern, right? Say I wanted to add a note or two, and I click record, and I go, right? So I add a little bit of something, and then I add a little bit of something else, right? So everything works great, but I do have a problem. I cannot mute anything. I can't mute the kick drum. Can't mute anything. So because it's sending to MIDI, nothing can be muted. I don't understand why. I used to use my machine studio hooked up to my computer and a bunch of MIDI, and it did not have this problem. If I muted the MIDI note, it would not send it along the chain. It would be stopped. And another thing that happens is, even if you mute the track that the drums are on, it will not mute anything. The only way that you can mute anything is by muting the entire MIDI send, and then it'll disable the entirety of every MIDI note being sent to it, making it useless, right? So it would be great if you could mute the sends of those MIDI notes instead of having them go through like they do now. May the Force be with you. Akai, please spend some some development time on this wonderful device. It could be the best. Thanks.